Untamed is going to be untamed. It's going to be a little crazy. I want to talk to my people. I want to talk to my brothers and sisters. We can have grace and humility in how we interact with other people.
Oh, hot dog, look at you.
And nobody talked about what's really happening.
And let's have conversations about what truth is.
What is multiculturalism and why should you hate it? Prior to 1965, the United States operated under a national origins quota system that prioritized immigration from Europe. The explicit purpose of the system was to preserve America's Western cultural inheritance and its historically Christian character. In 1965, however, Congress passed the Hart-Celler Act, which abolished national origin quotas and replaced them with a system based on occupational skills rather than place. The law also framed any preference based on nationality or culture was discriminatory. The result was a dramatic influx of foreigners. Millions flooded in from non-European regions, often without assimilation. Many brought with them their own religions, languages, customs, and cultural loyalties, fundamentally altering America's demographic and cultural makeup. It was the beginning of our national suicide. In 1965, the United States was roughly 90% white and overwhelmingly Christian. Today, these numbers sit around 55%. Now, why does this matter? Because multiculturalism consistently produces internal conflict. When multiple groups with competing religions, histories, languages, and moral frameworks are placed within the same political system, conflict erupts. Each group fights over government power, law, and preference. Many assume that secularism would serve as a neutral referee, but neutrality is an illusion. The question is never whether a nation will be shaped by religion, but which religion will shape it. Jesus himself warned, every kingdom divided against itself cannot stand. Stable societies required shared language, shared history, shared values, and of course, shared religion. National cohesion depends on unity at the deepest level. In short, nationalism may produce conflict between nations, but multiculturalism produces conflict within nations. So what are the next steps? Ending mass immigration, encouraging non-Christian cultures to re-immigrate, deporting millions of illegal immigrants, and urging heritage American Christians to pursue public office in order to protect their descendants from being ruled by foreigners.
Hi everyone, Patrick here. What a video to start Friday. And I told you I wasn't prepared yesterday when I started to talk about it. We are fully prepared today. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for spending your Friday afternoon with us. Joe will be back on Monday. Class is in session. So yeah, we started talking about multiculturalism yesterday, and that gentleman right there, that 2-minute video, did a great job breaking it down on where it started, how it's going, and what's next. Okay? So we talked about that the mass migration in America began under a legislation that was passed. That legislation that was passed was the Hart-Celler Act, okay? And that happened under LBJ. That's in the 1960s. And what that did was it started to open America to non-Christian nations. Now, what happens from there? Well, we're in 2026, and you could see what has happened, how we have progressed, right? And it wasn't by accident. When you welcome in other individuals into your country that don't speak your language, that don't respect your borders, and don't respect your culture, this is what you get. And I'm not saying every person that came to America from one of these other countries that immigration was open to didn't come here for the right reasons, but collectively as a whole, we can honestly say that the majority now is that America has been taken over by foreign invaders that are not here to assimilate. Right now, that was the one part of the equation that we really don't talk about a lot here in America anymore. But also, it was shouted down, because if you talked about assimilation in the 90s and the early 2000s, you were a racist, you were a bigot, you didn't understand anything. So you retreated, right? Like, this was a full-fledged blitz on the American people without language in the early 2000s, from what I remember. And it was probably before that, but that's when I started to get injected with this stuff when I was getting into college and hearing about it, right? And then, I listen, sit there. Most of the class agreed. I'm just like, okay. And I just retreated to myself. Not anymore, because that's what they wanted, was the retreat. And it worked, okay? It honestly worked. for a lot of Americans, and a lot of Americans stayed quiet watching what happened to their country over the past 10, 15, 20 years. A lot of Americans stayed quiet because we were under attack with the language, right? And that's what the leftists and communists did, is they used our language and then they gaslight the public. And then we are now forced to retreat into ourselves because the loud voices screaming all over the place and telling us you must be racist if you don't want people that are not white, not Christian coming to your country. Well, look what has happened, right? If you don't have a shared belief of what your nation is between the populace, this is what you get. And who drove all this down our throats? The Democratic Party. And I'm not saying the Republicans are excluded from this as well, because there are Republicans that were also tied to this and believed it would be beneficial, not to America so much, but to them financially, right? Because when you look at this act, it opens up immigration for work visas and all this other stuff that people can benefit from monetary-wise by bringing in immigrants to fill jobs and compete against Americans for wages, right? So like it's this whole thing. It's an economic issue. It's a cultural issue. And yet we are the ones that are everyday Americans that are part of the have-not category are the ones that are having to deal with the ground effects of this legislation that took place 60 years ago. And it's still happening and nothing's being done to prevent it either. This law is still on the books. It has not been taken off. We have not done anything to prevent the migration of the mass migration to America, right? Strong borders, yeah. But are we stopping others coming in? And you could say, you know, they're coming here for work, they're on the visa program, yes. But culturally, what are they doing in America? Culturally, what has happened to America? When immigrants come to America and they do not assimilate and they keep their own customs, their own religion, their own laws, you see what you see on the streets. And then we're told we're racist because we believe people that are coming to this country should assimilate to our beliefs. This country is offering you a lifeline. But if you're going to come to this country and not respect this country, not assimilate in this country, why are you actually here? The answer is to take advantage of us. And it's been used against us for decades now. Take a look at this chart. Take a look at kind of what has happened in the American demographics since the Hart-Celler Act was passed. Hart-Celler began the invasion. Then H.W. Bush's Immigration Act of 1990 really opened the floodgates by allowing chain migration, creating the diversity visas, and creating the massive H-1B opt visa problem. So much damage must be undone just to get America back on an even keel. And if you take a look at this map right here, this chart, what this chart is doing is showing you the foreign-born populations in millions in America. And in America in 2025, I believe that number is around 55 million foreign-born individuals being born in America. That's huge. That is a huge number. That is a massive demographic shift. It's not only a demographic shift as far as race, but it's a demographic shift as far as religious beliefs, work ethic, morals, principles. Okay, some cultures believe dogs should be eaten. Some cultures believe dogs should be executed if they encroach on their space. Dogs are a big part of American culture. We all love our dogs here in America, right? So just even little things like that, when you bring in other cultures that do not want to assimilate or don't value or have American values or want to assimilate to American values, you get us fighting these battles culturally in schools, on the streets, online, all over the place. And simply, my question to you is, do you believe America is safer now in 2026 than it was in 1960? Do you believe we're a better country now? Are your kids better off? Or do you believe your kids will be better off than you were? I don't believe that anymore. I do not believe my kid will be better off than I. I don't. Because with this mass migration and you have the push for diversity, you got the push for equity, but what's really behind all that is Marxism and communism. And it is coming through our door. And it is being well played and well designed to force these confrontations within nations. Have you seen what's been going on in Europe? Right, we covered a little bit here and there, but in England, Ireland, Germany, see what's going on in England? I'm sorry, in Europe, the Europeans are losing Europe. Europe is lost. Europe is ahead of us on this progression. And if we don't change course and change what we're doing, and I mean lock down in federal legislation what we're allowing into this country and who we're allowing into this country, we're just delaying the inevitable with the Trump administration. Okay, we're delaying the inevitable of the conquering of America by all different types of groups. Marco Rubio was out there speaking recently about this movement, this issue of migration in Europe and America. Let's listen to what Secretary Rubio had to say.
Mass migration isn't some fringe concern of little consequence. It was and continues to be a crisis which is transforming and destabilizing societies all across the West.
It is destabilizing societies all across the West. Okay, Tate, once again, Europe, America. Those countries are being affected by mass migration. Why isn't Mexico being affected by mass migration? Why isn't Somalia being affected by mass migration? Why isn't Nigeria? Why aren't any of those countries being affected by mass migration? Oh, that's right, because no one's going there. Those people are leaving their countries to come to Europe, to come to America by their own volition, like they're willingly deciding to get their stuff together, go across the Mediterranean, come across the Atlantic. No one's putting a gun to their head forcing them to leave. They are self-choosing to leave their country, their family, their culture, their language, to come to Europe and America. That's happening. It's being facilitated mainly by NGOs, payments going out to individuals and companies to move people. And people are like, oh, this sounds great, I'll go to Europe. They have heat, they have running water, they have electricity, I'll have a house, I'll probably get free stuff when I get there, I'll get a cell phone. Same thing that happened here in America. But yet when those people go to these countries, they're not thinking that I'm gonna assimilate to be part of this country. No, I'm coming here and I'm just gonna take from this country. And then I'm gonna spit on you after I'm done taking it. And then I'm gonna assault your women. Because sexual assaults throughout Europe are through the roof. What's changed in Europe over the past 15, 20 years? Why weren't sexual assaults through the roofs in the early 2000s or in 2010? Something's changed in Europe. But we'll get there in a minute. Newsmax, to their credit, put out a news piece about mass migration the other day. I want to play that clip for you so you can see the actual numbers. Hear the actual numbers of migrants in just a couple of decades have changed the face of Europe. And that is happening here in America also. The seeds have been planted, the conclaves are being established, the communities are built. It's happening here as well. Let's play Newsmax.
50 million Muslims now live in Europe. At the turn of the century, that number was less than 500,000, and more are arriving every day. As the people who lead these countries try to do what Joe Biden tried to do here, and that is fundamentally change the racial and ethnic makeup of a nation and make white Christians a minority in their own country. In England alone, right now, 10 major cities, including London, now have Muslim mayors in a nation that was built around the Church of England. Muslims are now running major cities across the country for the first time in history, and the English want us to believe that this is all normal.
The Muslim will come out and he will stand for truth and he will stand for justice. May Allah give us the ability to stand for the haqq.
So this is not the Middle East. It's not East Minneapolis even. That is England. And when you see images like that, you can't help but ask why anyone, a prime minister or a president or a king, would deliberately try to destroy their own country. Why would you do that? Why is this being done? And because European leaders still celebrate our failed experiment in open borders, it failed here in the United States, and because they've chosen to stand with radical Muslims over their own people, it's because of all of these reasons these countries are falling apart and failing as the attack on Western civilization continues.
So yeah, there you go. Okay, so did you hear that at the very beginning? 30 years ago, there was just 500,000 Muslims in Europe. 30 years later, there's 50 million of them. Open borders. And with that comes enormous consequences. Cultural shifts, language barriers, just the treatment of a man and a woman. Things are completely different, okay? But yet we're told and we're made to believe that people that don't speak our language, don't follow our religion, don't believe in our culture, are going to come over to our land here in America and everything will be just fine. By the way, America and Europe now, we're the only places that actually accommodate to the other side, right? Like if you go to Somalia, I would love for anyone to take a flight to Somalia and try and get an English translator when you're on the ground there for you. Or press 2 to speak English in Somalia when you call up on the phone, right? Or hell, just go down to Mexico or anywhere else, Cuba, Cuba, Venezuela. Go to the Spanish-speaking countries, see if you'll get a translator. Or if the government makes sure you have the ability to have a translator to make sure you understand communications, right? We're the only countries that do this. We make it so that foreigners do not need to assimilate to America. We make it easy for them to come over, keep their culture, keep their language, all while taking from us. Because if you think about it, how can you be successful here in America if you're a foreigner and never learn English? What jobs can you carry out? What jobs that pay well can happen, right? Family example here. My uncle married a Dominican woman. Her mother was from the Dominican Republic, immigrated to America in, I believe, the 1980s. She still doesn't speak a word of English. And she receives government assistance. True story. She doesn't speak a word of English, hasn't learned really any lick of English since she's lived here, and she is on government assistance. Her daughter speaks English, has a job working for the MTA transit department. Her son speaks English, but she couldn't and still doesn't, but yet she still collects money, right? And this happens all over the place. Why does someone need to learn English? Why does someone need to go to work if they're just going to be given government subsidies and government handouts over and over again? Right? So there's no need to learn English. There's no need to assimilate to the American culture because America's just going to give you whatever. And now you bring your baggage over, you bring your way of life over, and then other families bring their way of life over, and they realize we don't have to assimilate. No, America needs to change to us now. America needs to respect us. We need to have prayer places in public schools for our Muslim kids to pray during school day. Don't tell me no. Don't be a racist. Oh, Christians, you want Christians? No, Christians cannot pray in schools. No. Separation of church and state. Separation of church and state. Not separation of mosque and state. So Muslims can pray in schools, right? So it's the infringement on the American rights that American citizens don't even have rights to do, but foreign invaders can. That's where we are in America, and our government refuses to do anything about it. There's no federal legislation, there's no bills on the books to make sure that America, English first. Americans come before illegal immigrants. Like none of that exists. It's the illegals and those that come here to take advantage of America, they actually get propped up above Americans because we need to make sure they feel welcomed here. When Americans, it doesn't matter if an American feels welcomed in his own nation or not. What does that matter? Get the hell out of here. Screw you. Proud American. Right? Because they don't want proud Americans anymore, right? It's part of that demoralization, right? We saw about that yesterday. So we are demoralized here. And part of that has to do watching what happens every day with illegal immigrants being treated better than us. And then when ICE comes in to deport illegal immigrants, you have American citizens saying, no, Nazis on the street, Nazis on the street, Nazis on the street. And then you start these confrontations with our ICE officers on the street to protect criminal illegal aliens. That's how warped the American mindset is. And then you get the ICE agents becoming the ones that are seen as the aggressors, as the ones that are the troublemakers. No, they're the ones that are out there just trying to enforce the laws on the books that the Democrats have willfully ignored in their citizen states for years because the illegal immigrants have been their political capital, and they know that. It's their political capital for votes, for the voting bloc. It's also their political capital to funnel money. Okay? The huge outcry in Minnesota about the Somali fraud, well, it was the ICE agents were there because Somalis were defrauding the Minnesota taxpayer and the American taxpayer. And I'm still waiting for those public arrests, by the way. And I don't want to see just Somalis being arrested. They didn't do this on their own. We all know this. They had higher-ups. They had other people that understood the laws and how these nonprofits work and how they get paid, and they set up the organization for them. You need those guys, whether that be Tampon Tim, Mayor Fry, or their associates in those state offices. But those people are the ones that need to get arrested. Those are the ones that need to get tried. The message needs to be set nationwide that if you help facilitate foreign fraud, you're going to jail. But once again, we never see the real troublemakers being held accountable here in America. The frustration level is palpable. The blood boils. Because us everyday Americans who speed and get pulled over, get a ticket, we better pay that ticket. There's another ticket coming in, another fine. Oh, you're gonna put a lien against my house, right? All this other shit that they do to us as Americans to make sure we give to the system. All in the same while the system is protecting criminal illegal aliens that are defrauding us as Americans. How can you not be frustrated as an American when you see all this going on? That your paycheck is stretched thinner and thinner each time, but yet illegals and criminal illegals get to live free here in America off your dime. America is upside down. We need leaders in the building to get us back on the path. Congress needs to start putting legislation forward and getting stuff like this done. Who am I kidding? They can't get the SAVE Act done, but you know what they did do? They got their big, beautiful bill done. They got that done. Make sure you get that right in there. Special interest, willful ignorance over us, the American people, continuously, every day. I'm going to play a clip from you from Lisbon. Lisbon is in Portugal. And yeah, the Muslim population in Portugal is a real deal. Take a look at this clip. Allahu Akbar, 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 Allah, Allah, Allahu Akbar. Yeah, those are the Muslims looking for free food after they broke Ramadan. Okay? Tell me that's not a major issue over there. That many of them. And my question is, what countries specifically are all these Muslims coming from and why? Are they all claiming political asylum? Are they just able to just hop on any ferry across the Mediterranean? Or, you know, like, what? How are they allowed? How is so many of them there? How is so many of them there? I don't get it. I don't get it. And they are on the streets waiting to break their fast for Ramadan. Western Europe is predominantly Christian, but the streets are flooded with Muslims waiting to celebrate the breaking of their fast for Ramadan. Once again, all this is always done in public because it's a flex, right? It is a flex of them. It is to make sure people know that, hey, we're here, and there's a lot of us. And by the way, they're all men. We're the Muslim women, right? How come they're not immigrating over to Europe in the masses like the men are? Just questions to ask. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking. But why is that always happening? Same thing here. Why were so many middle-aged, military-aged men brought into America under the Biden administration? I didn't see a whole lot of women. Saw some children. Predominantly, though, males coming over. Right? They're all ready to work, I'm sure. I am sure. But yeah, everything they do is a public flex. Their prayers, public flexes to intimidate Christians. And Christians, for the most part, just go about minding their business because we've been taught and instilled that religion shouldn't be practiced in public. That's something that's been preached to us, at least when I was young. And that's stuff that's been removed from schools and office buildings, right? I wonder how many of you, if you work and you go into work, are there prayer rooms for Muslims at your jobs? I know there's prayer rooms for kids at schools. And I do know now schools are actually starting to send home Ramadan meals, which is fascinating to me because they're not supposed to eat during the school day. So why is food being sent to Muslims' families to eat after the school hours? That doesn't seem appropriate. You know, do regular kids get lunch sent to them on a Saturday? It's outside school day. Do they get dinner sent to them 5 p.m.? No, they don't. But Muslim kids do. Preferential treatment. Why? All to demoralize us. But at the same time, the districts that are doing this, oh no, this is equity work. This is about we're meeting the kids where they are, right? And that's what they say. But what it actually is discrimination against Americans. But you can't call that out because Americans, in their views, cannot be discriminated against because we're the oppressors. So Americans cannot be discriminated against. So if you get fired for saying you're a proud American, no, that's not discriminatory. That's just you're a proud American. You don't have any rights. Move on, peasant. We'll see. And another thing, like if we're preparing Ramadan meals because we want to be culturally appropriate to Muslim students, right? I'll play this game. Are schools not giving meat on Fridays to their student populations that are right? Are they respecting the faith of Christians? No. Because it doesn't matter. Right? Like we need to wake up. We are the enemies. And in about 50 years, we have lost 40% of the demographics here in this country. And those numbers are still going to continuously decline, right? I'm just saying, like mixed marriages, right? That's another way that you dilute the actual DNA of America. That's the truth of it. It happens, right? You mix cultures, you have different families, you bridge cultures, you bridge religions, right? You take away the heart of white Christians there. And I'm not saying you can't love or marry anybody. I'm just giving you the social effects of what happens from things like this. That's all. Just the social effects. It's legitimately happening. That's why America now is 55% white. It's not all just has to do with the mass migration from other parts of the world that came in. It also has to do with the mixed marriages that are taking place here in America as well and producing kids with different, not a homogeneous background, different family backgrounds. Like that's the reality of it. And that's what's happening. In Europe, though, we saw in Lisbon, the Muslims breaking Ramadan, lining the streets to get their food. Well, take a look at what's going on in Sweden with multiculturalism. Sweden, too, is a European country. Let's put this post up. Europe is facing an Afrocentric rape epidemic. Forced multiculturalism has failed. Deport all African migrants first. 1 in 4 Swedish women will be raped as sexual assaults increase 500%. Sweden now has the second highest number of rapes in the world after South Africa, which at 53.2 per 100,000 is 6 times higher than the United States. So Sweden, majority white, is now second in the world in rapes because of the immigration policies that they have implemented there. They put their own citizens at risk of being sexually abused by migrants from Africa. And they're going to say multiculturalism is a good thing in Sweden. Why don't you go ask the Swedish women how they feel about it? I'm sure the Swedish women are walking around there free, not worried about their safety at all. No concerns whatsoever. But this is what happens when you bring people from another country, another part of the world, and plant them into a country that they know nothing about. They see different women. Women dress differently in Sweden than I'm sure they do in Africa. I'm sure women look differently. And based on the numbers there, it seems like these women catch the eye of African men, and then African men feel the need that they need to carry their desires out on the women, and they feel that they can. That's why 1 in 4 women in Sweden are projected to be victims of rape. Like, that is sickening. So what's changed in Sweden over the past 20 years? I don't know. But let's not talk about it. Let's not talk about that the women in Sweden are now going to be victims of more rapes because of the population that their government has brought into their country. Borders, language, culture. Every nation should follow those, and every nation would be just fine. Because as the gentleman said at the beginning of the video, you can't bring other people in that don't have a shared value system that you do to live with you in a homogeneous society. It won't happen. They believe their God is better than my God. Okay, great. What is that going to lead to? Well, we all know more people have been killed in the name of God than any other reason throughout the history of the world. So I'm sure that's not going to lead to any conflict. Let's bring in people that want to impose different types of law and overthrow American Constitution and implement it with Sharia law. I'm sure that's going to go over well. Let's bring in people that don't value Americans or American white people, let's be honest. Let's bring in people that actually hate white Americans and set them loose on the streets in America. And what have we seen from that? Attacks on white Americans have gone up through the roof. But let's not talk about any of that. There's no consequences for multiculturalism. Multiculturalism, great. You get to get different types of food. You get to see different types of people. Yeah, that's great. That's great. The real world impact is, though, our schools are in the shitter too, because when you bring kids in from different countries that don't know how to read or write in their own language, good luck trying to teach them to read or write in English. You tell me academic resources don't get sucked up this way? They do. But what districts, instead of addressing the issue, what districts are saying, no, we need equity now. So we need to have a whole department of equity that costs about $8 to $10 million. We need to have all these people up here then to go down to the school level and tell all the teachers and the principals that, hey, these kids that are new here are not doing well because you're systemically oppressive and racist towards them. That's what it does. Instead of figuring out ways to actually help these kids that are in this country, no idea what the hell they're doing here, can't read in their native language, can't do math, and then, well, math is universal, but still can't do math. But let's do it here in America. And let's teach them their language and English while they're here. Are you kidding me? And then let's have a teacher try and do all that with 30 other kids. 20 of them kind of have the same deficiencies as this one does, but the 10 others are American students that speak English, but they're in the same class of the 20 illegal immigrant children that are here that don't speak English. What type of learning environment is going on? Zero. That's why what you see in the public school system, because this public school system is all over the place. But once again, our federal government chooses not to act. What does our federal government do? Oh, we'll just deport people. That's great. What happens when you're out? And all signs are pointing that the Dems will retake the House and the presidency, because there is very little momentum on our side. Our momentum is gone. Our side is in the shitter because of self-interest and willful ignorance. Disgusting. So I'm assuming the Dems will sweep in the House, and then I'm assuming the Dems will sweep the presidency and Senate in 3 years. That's what I'm believing. That's what I'm seeing, because our leaders in charge refuse to do anything to benefit the American people. So what do? Oh, we'll deport. That's great. Does nothing if you don't codify law. Because what's going to happen is the same shit that happened under Biden is going to happen under Newsom when he comes in, or Harris, or whoever the hell brain dead moron they put in charge next. They're going to bust open the borders, and then they're going to defund and disband ICE so that there'll be no way to get these people out of the country. But yet our people in charge now, when we have the Congress and we got the presidency, are doing nothing. Nothing about it. Can't get the SAVE Act passed, can't get voter ID passed, can't do anything about illegal immigration, securing our borders, securing the visa program. Actually, what we want to do is we want to increase the amount of foreign workers coming into this country. That's what President Trump said. That's not beneficial, President Trump, unless you're a businessman looking to undercut American wages. Special interests. It's got to stop. It is choking and killing the Americans. And what else you have going on across America is you have Muslims actively talking about what they're doing here in America and what their long-term vision is for America. They see America as the wounded animal we are. 25 years after September 11th, 25 years past 95% of America being pro-America, America, we all love each other, we're all the same. That has got ripped apart at the seams. And it was well done. And I'm frustrated by it. Extremely frustrated by it because after that attack, we were extremely patriotic as a country. We loved everyone that was in this country. And somehow that all got spun up in our face and turned around against us. And here we are fighting over this, that, and the other thing. Masterful class job done by the communists through their infiltration, through Obama, the divider in chief. I wholeheartedly blame him. And if you actually understand communism, he played his part perfectly. He was the smooth-talking car salesman that made most America feel good about themselves. We elected a black man. We can't be racist. Meanwhile, he smoked us out. Racism is in the DNA of America. That piece of trash. Okay? He's the one that started this movement here in America. He did it. And it's been unleashed across America ever since. It seems like Americans don't learn. It takes us getting bit by something to finally wake up. Obama did it to us. And if you think anybody coming past Obama is going to be Obama light or pre-Obama with their speeches, their rhetoric, their beliefs, you are crazy. Okay, he did his job well. Just like Mamdani right now is doing his job well in New York. He presents well, he talks well, but he is a snake commie in the works. So what just happened in New York, actually. He talked about snowball fights, cops were getting injured. And that, by the way, if you saw that video, that definitely, a snowball fight is like typically mutual, right? Like you get hit with 1 or 2 snowballs, you throw one back. These cops were getting laced from all different angles in the park after they just had that monster blizzard. And then Mamdani gets on the news like, oh, no, it's just a snowball fight. Everyone was getting along well with each other. And then what winds up happening is that one of the guys just got arrested. Repeat violent offender, by the way. And then DA Alvin Bragg just dropped the charges. So basically, yeah, the commie has the DA's protection, so like this stuff can happen to police officers. Those cops didn't look like they were having a good time, by the way. But no one mentions that. Mamdani doesn't mention that. Mamdani doesn't mention that they had lacerations and had to go to the hospital to get treatment. It was just a snowball fight. Because that's very typical of snowball fights that, you know, people got to go to the hospital and get cleaned up afterwards. And then the DA drops the charge on one of the repeat offenders, violent offenders that was arrested for this, right? That's communism, right? Look at that. What they're looking to do is demoralize the cops more and more. Why do you want demoralized police? Because you want chaos on the streets. The more your police officers are demeaned and demoralized and not feeling that pride that they should feel when they put that uniform on, that they're going to be on the front lines protecting the community, making it safe, they don't have that feeling anymore. What majority of cops do when they put on their uniform is, I can't wait to get in a squad car and go park somewhere and not deal with anybody. Because they have been demoralized. How much longer do I have until I got retirement? Because they have been demoralized over and over and over again by the rhetoric from our politicians, by the behavior of the anarchist on the street, by the lack of protection by DAs who don't charge anybody. Who the hell would want to be a cop? Right? All purposely done, right? Think about yesterday's show. They wanted destabilization. They wanted demoralization because it gives the chaos. And we have a lot of that. We have a lot of demoralized cops. And the only reason why the murder rate is down right now in America is because you have Trump in charge and he's putting pressure on local law enforcement to make sure that they're keeping the streets safe. So it is a tough balancing act. I am very fearful once Trump is gone and the Republicans are long swept out of power, what it's really going to look like on the streets of America afterwards. Because we saw what it looked like under Biden. I believe that was light work. I believe whatever comes next is going to be 100 times worse. And if you don't believe me, take a look at what they did in Virginia. You had Spanberger run as a moderate, and look what she has done to that state. Bop, bop, tax, 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 gerrymandering, tax, 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 boom. That's coming to us once these rhinos and wannabes are gone. Okay? This Republican Party is pure trash. Does nothing for the American people. I am disgusted by them. Absolutely disgusted. I know I'm just one person ranting to you right now on the TV, on the screen, but I'm just done with them. They are sellouts. They don't give a crap about America. They do nothing to try and make America better. They're happy on the direction of the direction America is going. They just put on a show about it. That's all they do. They all put a show about it. They put a show on about trying to save America, while what's going on in America is that America is losing. Let's take a look at what Muslims are doing across America with churches.
Can't believe this is happening.
Muslims are now buying up churches in America. Check this out.
We bought 3 churches so far, converted them to masjids, and now we have one we are buying with a school to make it, because we have to serve the same people. The people who were part of that community, one day they will be Muslims. So we'll make it into a masjid and an Islamic school for our children and their children, inshallah. 100 years ago, they invaded the Muslim world and they built missionary schools and destroyed Islamic schools and masjids. Today, we bring the favor back, turn their churches into masjids and their schools into Islamic schools. Bring the light of Islam to here.
We've played numerous clips of a lot of Muslim scholars saying the same thing. The plan is out there, and they're actually carrying it out, right? So think about it. The Christians in this nation went from 90 to around 55% over the past 50 years, 60 years, sorry, 70, give or take 60, 70 years. That's a lot of empty church space. And now you have this new wave of Muslims being welcomed into America. They see these structures that are there that they can just convert. And if you don't think churches can be easily converted into mosques, take a look at the Hagia Sophia in Constantinople, present-day Istanbul, Turkey. That was originally a Catholic Christian church. It got converted to a Muslim mosque. That's a game plan. They don't have to build new. They just got to do some renovation and wop, 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 new slap of paint, put a crescent on it, put some loudspeakers so that you can piss off the neighbors to call out your call to prayer. And there you go. Right? There is no respect for Christianity or America from these people. They see it as an opportunity, kind of like a parasite, to come in, take what they want, do what they want, and you can't do shit about it. And our politicians are allowing all this to happen all across the country. Texas, New York, Colorado, California, Oregon, Illinois. You name it, it is going on. It's a major concern. It is flipping the demographics of this country. And if the demographics of this country is not an issue, and it doesn't mean anything, what countries that have had predominantly minority what have they produced in society? Just asking. What have they produced? What do we go to Africa for? What manufacturing, maybe some natural resources, sure, but what do they produce there that we say, that is so great, we need to bring that here to America? Nothing. That's why, nothing. These people are coming here now, spitting on America, and openly talking about how they want to transform America to an Islamic state. Everyone needs to wake up. Okay? When America was founded, it wasn't founded under this principle. It wasn't founded to become an Islamic state. It wasn't founded to bring all different types of people to this country to then promote their culture here. That's not the purpose of America. America wasn't founded that way, but America is being destroyed that way. And we're young still. We're only 250 years old. This country is going to be overrun and overthrown if our political leaders don't get their heads out of their asses and start passing massive legislation, making massive arrests, and deporting and denaturalizing people that are here for the wrong reasons. If you think coming to this country to promote Islam, to take over churches, to commit fraud, to spit on the American people, to then call those people racist is why you came to this country, you need to pack your shit up and get the hell out. And our federal government needs to do that because we need to put Americans first. Not make America great again. Okay, I believe MAGA is an old term. We need to really start focusing in on America first. Because special interests and willful ignorance are destroying us at every turn. The American people are the ones that are always stuck picking up the crumbs, passing out the dollars to make other people's and other nations' lives better instead of our own. When we're the ones working all the time, paying our taxes, raising our families, just trying to do everything right so that our child can have a better life than we can. But unfortunately, I see that being ripped away from the American family. Because we are not seen as being important in America anymore, especially by the left side. They hate Americans. They hate white Christians. It is blatant. It is in your face. The fact that at the State of the Union, not one of those clowns can stand and say they would put America first over illegal aliens is everything you need to know. They are not hiding it. They are telling you. So if you continue to support those policies, you're a moron. You're going against your own self-interest for somebody else. Someone else that doesn't believe in the greatness of this country, but see this country as a leech to hang on to. As a host to suck blood and money from. That's what we are to these people. And our demographics and our population and our culture and our beliefs keep shifting. You cannot have a unified nation the way we're going. You cannot have it. Like we've talked about before, what is a unifying force amongst the American people? You cannot find one thing that the American people agree upon. You can find one thing that the American politicians agree upon. I'm not going to say it, but you know it. But for us, there's nothing us as Americans agree upon anymore. Some of us believe America is the greatest country ever founded. Another group of Americans think this is the biggest piece of shit country ever made. How can you coexist in a nation that believes that way? You can't. And it's all purposely being done. It is to tear apart us at every fabric, that we don't have unifying beliefs. We don't have unifying culture. We don't have a unifying language. It's all purposely being done to create conflict and strife within our country to make us weaker. Communistic playbook. And I want to play this video for you. We played a video last week of prayer in public spaces. We talked about children having prayer groups, Muslim prayer groups in schools. Check out this video of a teacher talking about meals being sent home to some students now.
Okay, so I did a video on this yesterday. Check it out if you haven't seen it. We have a major problem here. We have several school districts across the United States of America, public and charter, but mostly public, that have started a new practice of sending home halal take-home meals for Muslim students who are fasting during Ramadan. So these students are fasting from sunrise to sunset, and they're getting meals sent home paid for by the taxpayer to eat outside of school hours. Somehow, after decades of chasing prayer and Christianity out of the public schools under supposedly the First Amendment, taxpayers across the country are being asked to subsidize, to pay for a practice that is explicitly Islamic, fasting during Ramadan, as well as any animal-based halal products that are in the meals. Remember, halal meat has to be slaughtered in an Islamic ritual with the animals facing Mecca and Islamic prayers being said over them. And this isn't just going on in Dearborn, though it is going on in Dearborn. It's going on in Maine, in Minnesota, in Georgia, in California. It's all over the place. Yeah, I'm not sure how they're slipping sort of a surreptitious jizya tax on the American people. Remember, the jizya tax is what non-Muslims have to pay in Muslim countries to support Muslims. But I'm also really just not sure how public and charter schools, taxpayer-funded schools, are allowed to endorse an explicitly religious practice. Fasting during those specific dates, during Ramadan, is an explicitly religious Islamic practice. They chase Christian prayer out of schools for far less. But they probably can't keep slipping it by if we make enough noise about it. So let's please do exactly that.
So yeah, that's another clip of, once again, Muslim students being given preferential treatment over Americans. No Americans get this, right? If you're hungry or whatnot and you need food, they tell you to go to a food bank. Schools aren't sending home meals for kids like this. That's not happening for religious observance. Are schools promoting no meat on Fridays for the Christian faith? No, they're not. Right? But this is being done because the school districts throughout this country are criminal cartels, and they operate majorly out of the left-leaning side of their brain because they are all mental midgets, and they believe in equity and diversity, and white people are the oppressors. So anything that school districts can do to kind of shove it in the face of white America, they do it. And then school districts have legal departments that sign off on these things, right? So it's not the teachers, it's not the principal, it's the school board and the legal department in every one of these school districts that allows this to happen. And this is discrimination. You cannot do this and not offer it to all. Imagine the outcry if if meals were prepared for Christmas or Easter. Can you imagine the outcry, the harm that would do to other communities? But this doesn't harm anybody. No one's offended by this because it's for the Muslim kids, right? It's all good. It's all good. This is purposely being done to get us used to this custom so that when they ratchet it up more and more over the time, we're like, oh, no big deal. It's all good. They used to give meals to the kids. What do you mean? It's all good. This is what they're doing. And it's all over the place, and school districts support it. And whether or not your school district does it or not, you should go to the next board meeting and ask if they are, and if they are, ask them how it's legal. I know Cherry Creek is doing this. I got a text message from a friend the other day. Why is Cherry Creek sending out Ramadan meals? They asked me. I don't know. And they said, do they send out fish sandwiches on Friday? I almost laughed. But it's true. It's true, right? Everything is upside down. Left is right. High is goodbye. Up is down. Boy is a girl. Girl is a boy. Everything's bizarre. Muslims can practice Ramadan in school. You can't hang a cross. Muslims can pray in school. You can't lead an Our Father, right? It's all upside down. It makes zero sense. And that's why we are in the system we're in, because the adults in the room just allow this stuff to happen. State legislatures allow this stuff to happen. Our federal leaders allow this to happen because no one digs in. Special interest, willful ignorance. Either someone's getting paid off to ignore it, or they're benefiting from this financially, or they're just choosing not to engage because they don't believe it's a big deal. Well, when does it become a big deal? When does it become a big deal that Christians get ignored in this country? When does it become a big deal that discrimination can happen to white Americans? When can that become a big deal? Okay? The school districts and the left make it a point to kind of break this down to a different view, and I want to give it to you. So school districts believe that minority people cannot be racists towards white people. Okay? They don't believe minorities can be racist. Therefore, policies that support minorities cannot be racist towards white people. That's the logic behind them. And that's just how they think. And it's the reality of it. Because in the name of inclusion, we must allow Muslim kids to pray here. But in the name of inclusion, I would like to, no, because your prayer is harmful to them. So who is considered more important? And the problem here with it is in America is that we're all supposed to be seen as equal. And we're not being seen as equal. Americans are down here, Christians are down here, all those are up here above them. Plain and simple. Every which way you go about it. Every which way you turn. And it's because the ideological principles of communism have been supplanted into people's minds over the past 70 years that they're acting this way. And I want you to take a look. And if you don't believe me that the Muslims do these things, line up in the streets for food, public prayer as a flex, well, here's another public prayer video of Muslims. This one's out of Philadelphia. So that was in Philadelphia over the summer. Okay? Mass gatherings in public spaces by Muslims to promote their faith is a public flex that is meant to intimidate white Americans. period. And that's what's going on. They take over these spaces and no one breaks it up. No one says this is illegal. You can't do it, right? When you shut down Times Square, that's illegal. You cannot organize prayer to stop traffic, but yet the Muslims get a free pass. Why? In the name of equity and inclusion. And they use these cards against us at all turns. But all they're looking to do is encroach on us and make sure this country here in America isn't America in 20, 30, 40, 50 years. That American flag, they want to change it and make it something else on there. Believe that. They don't want 50 stars and 13 stripes. They want a crescent moon. Okay? They want a crescent moon. And they're using equity and inclusion as a way to make that happen. Right? They didn't come up with this stuff. Another group came up with diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'll let you look into that group. The Muslims didn't start it, but the Muslims are taking advantage of it. Okay? And then recently, we're on this kick, borders, language, culture, what's going on in America, the degradation of America as the white populace drops, what has occurred here in America. Well, here's another video of a tractor trailer driving down the wrong side of a highway because of an illegal immigrant. Let's play it.
Going in the wrong direction. And instead of pulling over once they saw cars flying right at them, the witness says the semi sped up and was hitting 50 miles per hour, going the wrong way for nearly 3 miles. Miraculously, they didn't hit anyone, and Missouri Highway Patrol eventually pulled over that driver who had a legal commercial driver's license from Minnesota. But Highway Patrol says during that stop, our commercial vehicle enforcement troopers conducted a driver inspection and determined the driver could not properly identify road signs, as mandated by federal motor carrier regulations. Per federal motor carrier guidelines, he was placed out of service and not allowed to continue driving. Here's what we know about this particular trucking business. Cargo Transportation LLC is run out of an apartment in Hopkins, Minnesota, just outside Minneapolis. It was registered in 2023 to an Abdulwali Ahmed and only has 2 drivers, one of whom presumably can't read road signs. But still, last year the company drove more than 81,000 miles. We reached out to both Cargo Transportation and Minnesota's Commercial Driver's License Division for comment. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy says the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration is now investigating this particular company as the administration continues its push to crack down on foreign nationals driving commercial semi-trucks on our roads after a number of high-profile fatalities involving drivers, several of whom have been in the country illegally.
Wow.
Sandra.
All right, Garrett Tanion.
Just another one. And this was out of the state of Minnesota. Oh, Republicans are in charge up there, right? No, of course not. Of course not. One political party, right? Supermajority rule in that state. And what do you get? You get this. Same thing you get in California, same thing you get in New York, same thing you get in Colorado, same thing you get in Illinois, right? The same stuff. Illegal immigrants being put in over American citizens. And then not only that, American citizens are being put in danger. That dude was driving down the wrong way on a highway because you couldn't read a sign, right? But like Mayor Fry in Minneapolis or Tampon Timmy will never have to deal with something like that because they have protective security and roadblocks and they shut down the highways when they get on them. So they never have to worry about an illegal immigrant driving a tractor trailer 60 miles an hour at them head on because they got their own security. They get special treatment. The haves. All while the have-nots, like us, could have been driving with our family in the car and gotten plowed into head first because someone couldn't read road signs. But this has gone on for far too long across America. Why is this allowed to happen? Because the Democrats want this to happen. The commies want this to happen. They want chaos in the streets. They want Americans to be killed. There's no other explanation behind, oh, we want them to have a better life. Really? Really? You want them to have a better life? Do you care if they can read or write before they drive a car? Because you care if our American kids can read or write before they get a license. Because you got to take a written test, and then you got to take a road test. So how the hell are these shitheads getting all these licenses if they can't read or write? What tests are they passing? Are there tests being given? Or are they just, oh, I want to drive a truck. I want to drive a tractor trailer. Here you go. I don't know. I really don't know what's going on. I really don't. But I see that happening because we live in a bizarro world, right? That's why borders, language, culture is extremely important. Our culture keeps us together. Culture includes written and spoken language. That's part of culture. Holidays, part of culture, right? And if you look on America's calendar now, look at all the different holidays that exist. All different days people get off for all whatever reasons, right? Oh, it's inclusivity. Yeah, it's the watering down of America is what it is. Okay, if you wanted to celebrate that holiday, you could have stayed in your country. We don't need to celebrate this holiday here in America. We don't. We don't, but we do. Kwanzaa, Ramadan, Yom Kippur, right? All these things, no. White Christian American holidays. But no, not anymore. Holidays, all holidays are given. All holidays. You know, New York City Public School closes for Muslim holidays now, right? Because you got to make sure they get their shine. Can't expect Muslims to go to school on a holiday for them. Well, guess what? This is America. The American holiday supersedes yours. So if your holiday is this day and you don't get the day off, too bad. But we won't do that here in America. We have activist judges be like, nope, that's discrimination. Pfft. Yeah, it's a tough sledding. And that's another thing. Our leaders in charge are not serious about reforming the courts. Have you heard anything out of their mouths on how to make the court system better? No, because all they do is bitch and complain about it, instead of actually trying to put together a task force to figure out how to get corrupt judges and those that hurt the American people off the bench. No one's doing that. So you could bitch and complain about the judges and the judicial system all you want. Congressman, President Trump, makes no difference because you guys are doing absolutely nothing to rectify it or fix it. And you are the ones that are in charge. So what do you think's going to happen? Absolutely nothing. When the people in charge don't use their power, you better believe the ones that are waiting to get in charge will wield that power. We are going to get smoked, people. We are absolutely going to get smoked because of the willful ignorance and the lack of courage and the self-interest of the people on our side who are supposed to represent us. Whew. Got another news report for you here. Did you guys hear Kristi Noem the other day come out, talk about how she was hacked? She was spied on? This is what's going on in America. How she got spied on by people within our own government. Listen to this.
Came into this office, it was, Elon and his team were extremely helpful to me. They helped me identify that some of my own employees in my department had downloaded software on my phone and my laptop to spy on me.
Stop it.
To record our meetings.
Wow.
They had done that to several of the politicals.
Wow.
And so we ended up bringing in people, and that was something that if you didn't have those technology experts here in the department looking at all of our laptops and our phones and recognizing that kind of software, it would still be happening today.
What happened to the individual that was had your phone that was being spied on? What happened to those individuals?
Fired.
Brought
in, polygraphed, fired. Yes, many of them out of that arm of the department that are in charge of security on laptops, phones. Also,
You think that's enough?
We had to. We had to sweep my office on a regular basis to make sure that there's not listening devices in it. It was very prevalent, and I think that what happened at this department was individuals had gotten away with for years spying on people who were politically appointed and trying to stop an administration that was coming in and trying to fix this country and keep us safe.
So wow, that's a big report. Big statement, I should say, not a report. There's no written documentation of this yet. Haven't seen a report come out yet. That was a great question, though. Is that enough? Hell no, it's not enough. How come there's not public arrest and prosecutions of these people as traitors? Because once again, we don't play to win. And also, it also may be that this story may not be 100% factually accurate. I don't know. But the fact is, you got Kristi Noem saying on a podcast that she was openly spied upon by people within her department is a major statement. So if that's happening, where are the arrests of the people that are spying on her? Because if you're spying on her in her position of power, that is treason. That is sedition. So how come there's not been public arrest of these people? They've been polygraphed and fired. I don't give a shit. Why aren't they being publicly perp walked and then the whole story being released? Okay, outside needs to, if this happened, outside needs to play full-fledged these games and start arresting all people that are doing this stuff to Trump's political appointees. I'll keep tabs on this. I'll see what comes up over the next couple of days or weeks. But I would expect and hope to see public arrests for this and more to the story. Otherwise, believe it with a grain of salt. And that's what this administration has done to me at this point. It's the truth. And then Congress, I bitch and moan about Congress never getting anything done. Well, we got a clip why. Let's take a look at this clip as to why Congress can't get the SAVE Act through.
Oh, yes. Then you have been hanging around the Senate button. Come on in.
There he is.
Oh, yeah, and the senator came too. Everybody knows Baby Dog's story, right?
Look at these clowns. So just days after Senator Thune said there was no time to debate and vote on the SAVE Act, that's why they were having a parade for their dogs. These clowns cannot be serious. This is the American government. We are facing crisis on every level, and this is what these jackoffs do. They waste their time parading their dogs around in little carts, and then you get the old hack senator in the back in his motorized wheelchair. Like, dude, these people are decrepit old folks. And I know we have people on the show that'd be like, oh no, we need their wisdom. No, we can use their wisdom. They just don't have to serve. Plain and simple. They don't need to be in there. They could come in, talk, give consultations, right? You can still play a part. But this stuff, give me a freaking break. Give me a break. If you literally can't walk yourselves, like, God forbid you didn't have a traumatic medical injury, but like if you're just too old and you just can't move your body, what makes you think you'll be able to keep up with Congress? Right? It's just the optics. It's the reality. And I'm not trying to hate on anyone that's old. It's just the truth. And I hear Trump has stamina, this, that, and the other thing. Yeah, that's great. No one else moves like he does. What's your point? What's your point he has stamina? Is he making great decisions? Is he executing for the American people? Are the leaders in Congress making great decisions and executing for the American people? That's what I care about. I care about the American people getting what they need to get done in order to preserve this country and return it back to what it needs to be. That's my main concern. And if these clowns are going to be busy doing this, we really need to get that third party up and running, right? We need to have a third party platform. America first, no property tax, no income tax, no illegal immigration, severe quotas on immigration from countries, cap the numbers, reform education, open up vocational education, get people ready for AI. AI needs to be at the forefront of any education that's happening because our kids need to learn the systems in order to move the systems. Otherwise, they will be hooked on the system. And that's probably what our leaders want, right? But I believe we are better than that. I believe we need to launch this into the next atmosphere. We need to start driving these conversations because what we have from both sides is complete dog shit. Like, they are god awful. They're worthless, but they're not because they get paid six figures and have pensions and we pay for their staffing and we cover everything for these people. And that's what they decide to do. We got all these crises, all these issues going on, but we need to have this dog parade right now. Clown show. Absolute clown show on the Capitol. And we wonder why we're in the world we're in. Because our leaders are assholes and they have no principles whatsoever. They don't care about the American people. They care about entertaining themselves, lining their pockets, and being willfully ignorant. That's what they care about. Unreal. And then we also hear that ICE might be coming to Denver. Right? We've seen what ICE has done in Minneapolis, what ICE has done in LA. Right? When local law enforcement don't want to work with ICE, you get what you got in those cities. And then you get what you get in Louisiana, which is peaceful arrest of criminal illegal aliens that are deported, right? So we're going to see what Denver's going to do. We're going to see what Mike Johnston's going to do. Let's play his cut.
Well, new this morning, Denver taking on ICE, the mayor signing an order that would ban ICE officers from operating on city property without a court order, and also ordering local police to protect protesters who are peacefully protesting ICE. This, of course, comes after what we saw in Minneapolis, those weeks of protests and 2 deaths earlier this year, those 2 protesters killed by federal agents. Denver's Mayor Mike Johnson joins us now. It's good to have you with us, Mr. Mayor. So I know you've said this is part of your effort to make clear to your residents where the city stands. Do you have concerns, though, that this order could actually invite more federal scrutiny and potentially federal activity in your city?
Thanks for having me this morning. I made clear yesterday our goal here is not to provoke, but it's to protect. We get questions from residents every day about what will happen if we see the kind of forces of troops descend on Denver that they saw in Minneapolis. And I think what our residents want to know is that any law enforcement officer that operates in Denver will be transparent, will be accountable, and that the rule of law still applies. And that's what we wanted to let people know, is that we will have a duty to intervene if someone is injured. We will have a duty to investigate if there's a crime committed, and we'll have a duty to interfere and step in and take an officer who might be using excessive force out of that situation, whether that's a Denver police officer or whether that's an ICE officer. And I think that's what residents expect from us in the terms of public safety, and that's what we're committing to.
So just to be clear on that point, you're saying if that's a federal officer, if it's an ICE agent, does this mean that effectively local police could arrest federal agents?
Officers in Denver right now have what's called a duty to intervene, which is if you see a fellow officer who's using excessive force in a way that's inappropriate, you have an obligation as an officer to step in and remove that officer from the situation. Officers around the country do that every day. What we're saying is that same expectation extends to federal officers who might be operating on our streets. That's the way we've done it in the past. That's the way we'll do it now. And I think that is what all residents should come to expect, is that if you do that and use excessive force, we'll stop it, we'll hold you accountable, we'll investigate it.
Yeah, one-sided, slanted interview. He's already stoking it. He's already poking it. He's already saying it, right? We're going to come after your federal agents, right? There's no talk about what's proper behavior for the citizens, what's proper behavior for the protesters. Mayor Johnston, is it appropriate for legal observers to be blowing rape whistles to make sure the criminals know that ICE agents are coming? I would love to have heard that question asked of him. I would love to heard him be asked, Mayor Johnston, is it acceptable for legal observers to block traffic with their cars? I would love to hear some of those questions asked of Mayor Johnston instead of what's being required of our law enforcement, that we're going to make it harder on you, that you can't operate on federal law enforcement, that we're going to tell our police officers to step in if you're using excessive force. Well, Mr. Johnson, what are you going to do to make sure that the protesters are separate from the ICE officers? Are you going to ask Denver PD to go out and provide a secure perimeter for ICE agents as they go into neighborhoods and areas to remove criminal illegal aliens? Are you going to work with partnering with the ICE agents? No, you're not. You're looking to gaslight, you're looking to provoke, and you're looking for an incident to occur here. That's why you're saying, and that's why you're doing what you're doing. You're getting the residents ready to respond. You want them ready to respond because you want to provoke ICE agents to do something here on the streets of Denver. You don't care about what's good for the Denver people. You don't care what's good for the people of Colorado. You don't care about keeping them safe. If you cared about keeping Coloradans and people of Denver safe, you would actually deport criminal illegal aliens that are arrested by DPD instead of releasing them back into your communities. Because by doing that, what you're doing is you're leading towards confrontation. And that's exactly what you want. Piece of trash. Tired of these politicians. Just tired of these assholes just lying and gaslighting. Meanwhile, the solutions are real simple. You get criminal illegal aliens out of your communities, and then no one's get put in harm's way. ICE agents don't, the criminal illegal alien doesn't, and then you don't have your protesters on the streets. But that solution's too simple, right? We talk about how a lot of these problems can be solved overnight. That's one of them. But they don't want solving. They want chaos. And the fact that local law enforcement doesn't have to cooperate with federal law enforcement to remove criminal illegal aliens from our streets is absolutely absurd. In what other countries is this allowed? In what other countries can criminal illegal aliens still be allowed to walk around and be alive and free? In let's say I go to China illegally, I get into China, and then I commit a crime illegally in China. Do you really think I'll be on the streets in China if I was to do that? Do you? If I was to do that in Mexico, if I was to do that in Colombia, enter those countries illegally, then commit violent crimes in those countries illegally, do you think those countries then will allow me to be on the streets? No, they wouldn't. So why do we tolerate it here? Because we want chaos. And there's only one political party that's actually for this, and that's the commies. They're for the chaos on the streets. But yet at the same time, they have no problem locking up Tina Peters in jail for 9 years when she caught them with election fraud. They want her in jail. They want her to die behind bars because they want the truth to die with her. And they'll let any criminal illegal alien out on the street to reoffend because it is what they want, which is to victimize and hurt the American people. How do you not see this yet? How do people not see this yet or understand this yet? I don't know. We talk about it, and if you pay attention to the world, you see it, right? There should be a switch in your head like, whoa, the light just turned on, right? You know when you watch a cartoon and you get the little light bulb flashes on above your head? That's what all Americans should be doing. Day after day after day. If you're in tune and if you're awake and you see what's going on in your society, how do you not come to some of these conclusions we talk about here on the show? And then just to prove to you how much of the rot really exists here in Colorado, that was Mayor Johnson of Denver. Then you got Governor Polis. That guy's a tard too. Let's take a look at look who Governor Polis just appointed to the Colorado Supreme Court. So yeah, that was put up by Scott Bottoms. Jared Polis just appointed Susan Blanco, Chief Judge of the 8th Judicial District, to the Colorado Supreme Court. And did you catch what was written on there? She recently cut a deal to not allow a child predator no jail time. That's sitting on the Colorado Supreme Court now. And if you tell me that there is not a mental issue within the Democratic Party, you tell me that these people are not mentally retarded or willfully ignorant. Which one is it? That's the type of judge you want on your Supreme Court. Someone that will allow off someone that committed a sexual offense against a minor. You want a judge like that on the court that allows that offender off with no jail time. Are you kidding me? Are you for real? That should tell you what they want out here in Colorado. And you see now how a judge that makes a decision based on political ideology gets rewarded. That's how the system is played, right? That's why you have the shit that happens at the magistrate judge level, because all those magistrate judges that were appointed by Democrats, all they do is look to score political points so that they can get a judgeship spot. Right, Valhalla? You weak-ass man. Scott T. Valhalla. Can't even look me in the eye, couldn't even bring me into your courtroom to say I have no right to sue, when my suit actually brought all the facts and it forced the Cherry Creek to say, yeah, I did all of this to him, but yet I still can't sue? Are you crazy? Scott Valhalla ruled that way because he's looking to gain political points, political capital through the federal court system so that when there's a federal judgeship open in the state of Colorado, his name's on the selection list. That's why he did it. There is no fairness here in the judicial system. It's all political games. It's all movement. Okay, oh, this one gave us a favorable ruling. Okay, Mr. Polis, let's make sure we reward her now. Bam! On the Supreme Court. Oh, and by the way, why was there an opening on the Colorado Supreme Court? Oh, that's right, Melissa Hart, the former judge of the Colorado Supreme Court that resigned, that we talked about here on the show, that we have files to her case up on the Untamed Nation website. Go check it out. We have the Chris Gregory files on our website too. Go check it out. We bring the receipts here. Melissa Hart was a corrupt judge. Lost her judgeship. And now, to secure up the Colorado Supreme Court, what does Polis do? Puts this woman in there, Susan Blanco. A federal judge who did not make a child predator serve jail time. That's who you got on the Supreme Court here in Colorado. Blanco, listen to this, is the first female Iranian American to serve on the court and Polis's second appointment to the 7-member bench. Blanco, she graduated from the University of Colorado Law School in 2003. Has done a decade of judicial experience and was chosen from a list that included District Judge Christopher Zenisek and Solicitor Attorney General Andrea Wang. But this one here, Susan Blanco, won the drawdown. And it's probably because she had the best extremist ruling for them in their favor. Oh, child sexual predator, you're free to go. No jail time. And then what happens to her? She gets a reward. She gets put on the Colorado Supreme Court bench. Untouchable. But I really would encourage all of you, if you're listening, go to the Untamed Nation website. Take a look at the Chris Gregory documents that we got up there. Take a look at the Melissa Hart documents we got up there. You could read through them for yourself. Okay, we covered some of it on the show here for you. There is so much more. Go take a look at it. It's really quite disturbing. But the Colorado Supreme Court judges are all in on it too. So just take a look at it. So we have judges that protect criminals. We have mass migration effects all over America. And then you go down to Austin, Texas, and you see more of what's going down in Austin, Texas. Austin, Texas has become a very, very democratic stronghold in the state of Texas. A lot of libtards live down there in Austin. Well, when that comes, you get consequences for this. Listen to what this lady has to say, what happened to her when she went down to Austin to go vote.
I just went and voted. Guess what just happened? So apparently if you're going to vote in City Hall in Austin, Texas, you're not allowed to get information about the Republican convention. Let me show you what happened.
Yeah, okay.
So have you told anybody else that they weren't allowed to take a picture?
If I see them, yeah, like, so, okay.
Thank you.
The posting's up there if you want to read it.
So in case you were wondering what that was, I was on the outside of the room of the voting where they had the table with the Democrat conventions and the Republican conventions. It was in a separate room inside City Hall. I voted on the Republican ballot. He voted on the Democrat ballot. He has the paper for his convention, but for ours, we had a QR code. There's a QR code on the door. The security guard said I couldn't scan it. And outside of the voting poll, I was not allowed to scan it either. Now I have someone else who's saying that I can't record when my convention is right there. So as you see, the security guard wasn't even letting me record outside of City Hall, which was absolutely ridiculous. So I didn't get access to my convention, meaning all of the Republican voters there were not able to get access to their convention as well. And I do want to point out that I was a alternate election judge at that polling location in the 2024 primary election. And that lady that wasn't letting me scan for my convention today was the same lady that was refusing to let Republicans vote on a provisional ballot in 2024.
So yeah, can you say mafia mostly? Okay, it's a criminal cartel. When the Democrats seize control, no matter what aspect of the political arena that they seize control in, they run it like a mafia. They seize control, take it over, shut you down, shout you out, kick you out. That's what they do. Any which way you go. You can go to the school board, school district, city council, mayor, governor, federal level. It's all the same. Full nonstop, my political ideology is going to trump yours, and I'm going to beat you down to a pulp, and I'm going to restrict your access to everything I possibly can, because I can, because I know I'm protected by the political cartel behind me. I'm protected by the judges. I'm protected by the courts. So our federal government, our state governments need to start solidifying their roles. You need to start expunging these judges on the federal bench that actually rule against American people and American values and put reoffenders on the street. That's the only way to get our hands back onto the court system here. Other than that, the court system is going to be dominated by left-wing extremists. It already is, and it's just going to get worse until something's done about it. And if nothing's going to be done about it, we're just continuously going on that slow march. We're continuously going to our slow death here in America. 1 year at a time by the communists, all while our political leaders sell ourselves out for self-interest or willful ignorance, one or the other. But woo, what a show today, what a show. Thank you all for sticking with me. I promise you, I believe Joe will be back on Monday. I've learned not to make 100% promises in this world, but I do believe Joe will be back on Monday and in chair. All right, he's traveling right now. He's got to do a couple of things, but he will be back. And with that, I'm going to pray us out. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen. Dear Lord, thank you for another opportunity to sit in this chair and bring the message to the people of Untamed Nation. Thank you for a glorious week, a hard week, a long week, but another week where I was able to do good work, spend time with my family, see my boy, experience the beautiful weather, all the good things that we have every day in our face, Lord. Thank you. Thank you for that. Please, Lord, provide wisdom and leadership to those above us to put them on the right path, to start making the right decisions, to clean this nation up so that we can better serve your interests, Lord. We are the beacon of the world. We carry out your words. So, Lord, please give our political leaders the will and power and the foresight to begin this reckoning, to bringing us back to the greatness this country once had. And Grandma, Grandpa, Dad, thank you guys for watching over me and watching over our boy and family. We miss and love you every day. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners, now and at the hour of our death. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, Holy Spirit. Amen. All right. Hopefully you laughed a little bit, but I'm going to leave you with this video from Andy Stein taking us into the weekend. Class dismissed.
Welcome. Introduce yourself. Go ahead.
My name's Alex Stein. I'm considered one of the sexiest men in conservative politics. And one thing I want to say, a lot of people are going to hear my testimony and you're going to say you're anti-LGBTQ. I want to say that's impossible because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan. So obviously I have a lot of gay pride. But, you know, a lot of conservatives like yourself, you want to outlaw transgenders in women's sports. I disagree. I like transgenders in women's sports because you can gamble on them and win money. You know, I won so much money on Leah Thomas's propeller in that pool. I almost turned draft kings into draft queens. And, you know, I actually like transgenders in the military, too, because, first of all, transgenders are some of the meanest people on planet Earth, so they'd make a good soldier, don't you think? And then, you know, second of all, transgenders love to do mass shootings. So, you know, that's perfect for a military veteran. And then on top of that, the suicide rate is incredibly high among transgender people, so we could just use them like the Taliban has suicide bombers. Maybe you guys can actually, you know, if you commit suicide, actually help us in the battlefield. So that would be good. So I think we need transgenders in the military and women's sports. Now, when we come to the bathroom bill, though, this is an asymmetrical problem because, first of all, no dude cares if, like, a bisexual woman comes in there and tries to use, like, a pee funnel. You know, if some lady boy comes in there, some, you know, stud comes in there, wants to pee in the urinal. No guy's going to be threatened by, you know, a trans woman. But we don't want these gargoyles in a dress, you know, some chick with a dick coming in there and trying to pee or poop next to my girlfriend because that's disgusting. And, well, I was just going to say something. Listen, I have my First Amendment right. Let me just speak. So, we're sick of these transgenders trying to invade women's personal spaces. These people have autogynephilia, they're sexual perverts, and they actually get satisfaction from going there and looking under a stall. So these are mentally ill people that are on hormones, that are on all kinds of pills, they're impulsive, and they do not belong in a women's restroom. So if some of you lesbians want to come in and pee next to me, you're more than welcome. So we just don't let the chicks with dicks in the women's room, and you guys are all welcome in the men's room. I think that works.
Thank you very much.
Rising from the fight for the forgotten and the free, exposing rigged machines, Kuma's lies, dominions deceit, pays a grand each day, shielding truth from corrupt halls, but he won't back down, standing tall through it all. Hart and Tina Peters break the chains that bind her tight, hand count votes and one day bring the fraud to light. No more mailing scams, no machines to steal the night, restore the people's voice, make Colorado right. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true, badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away, shrink the bloated state, let the people have their say. Rolling, it's our rally call, truth and freedom rise and watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado. Unity for youth, where the brave belong. Audit every NGO, ban the wolves that roam, reclaim our stolen land, bring the power home. Eric Kuma's fraud dominions, rig design, expose the stolen votes, cross a dangerous line. No more victimhood, no chains on you and me. He's running for governor for real liberty. Smash the fraud machine, pardon heroes jailed for the have-nots. Rising truth will never fail. One warrior defies the corrupt elite. Colorado reborn, strong on our feet. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Badass for the have-nots, fighting through and through. Abolish property tax, cut the tolls away. Shrink the bloated state, let the people have the say. Governor Oltmann, it's our rally call. Truth and freedom rising, watch the tyrants fall. Untamed Colorado, strong and proud we'll be. One man for the people, set our great state free. Whoa, 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 whoa. Governor Oltmann, lead us bold and true. Governor Oltmann, freedom forever, Colorado. Rise up untamed, in the heart of the fire where the wild ones roam. Joe Oltmann's calling, bringing truth back home. From conservative daily to this untamed fire, we shatter the silence, lifting spirits higher. No chains can hold us, no lies can prevail. Authentic and fearless on this rugged trail. Patriots gather under stars and stripes. Untamed nation, igniting the night. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave belong. Yeah, untamed and wild, forever strong. Play it again all night long. Time to heal. Joe's voice leads the untamed crew. Truth matters through and through. Untamed nation, let the truth roll out in this land of the free. Standing proud from sea to shining sea, we won't back down. Catch the fire, wear the crown. Untamed nation, it's our battle song, motivating hearts where the brave